I'm with the federal branch of the BWI, the Bureau of
Witchcraft Investigations. I'm familiar.
I've been dispatched to follow up on reports of suspicious activity. May I come in?
Detective, I assure you, there are no witches here.
Hi, how are you doing?
I'm well. How are you?
I'm very well, thanks. Thanks very much for speaking to me, Elizabeth. I appreciate it.
I'm so happy to be here. It's great to talk about this. All is well.
So first of all, congratulations on the movie and congratulations on pulling off being a widowed mother of 3 and taking in various witch kids.
I mean,
That must have taken quite a toll on you, you know?
I feel like it's a lot of work, but you know, somebody has to do it.
Definitely. So, the first thing I want to ask you, I mean, I recently spoke with Elle. Were you her first choice? And if so, was there a specific reason why she went for you?
You know, I have no idea if I was her first choice or not, but I like to think that I was in there somewhere, and I was thrilled to have it come my way. I was very excited after I read the script and when I heard that Gideon was working on it, and then I got to meet Elle. We had kind of a FaceTime conversation, and I immediately liked her. I immediately thought she was something. And so I was thrilled. But what a cool question. I don't know. Maybe I was first choice. Maybe I was like 10th choice, but like, you know, 10th time's a charm, right?
You got there. Yeah, you got it in the end. So I mean, obviously even when it was made, I think she wrote it about 3 or 4 years ago. I mean, obviously it was very timely back then, but right now, just when I was watching it, just felt very, very Trumpian, very, just everything that he was trying to get into really just felt like it was really, I mean, there's a certain conversation that you have with I think it's your neighbor that comes knocking on the door, and just kind of the irony and the tongue-in-cheek responses that you gave her, it just felt like you were talking about what's going on right now. That must have been really strange having filmed that and then what went on afterwards now in the real world.
It's very prescient, isn't it? I found it to be that was one of my favorite scenes to film, you know, despite the ones with the kids, which I always really love. But that was an interesting thing because you're hiding in plain sight, right? You're pretending to be something so that you can do the right thing. And I really liked that. And it did feel really topical to me for sure.
Mm-hmm. And what about that, actually kind of playing this mother who she wants to bring up her kids and she wants them to kind of respect people that are not respected, but at the same time, you almost kind of give more respect to the other kids than you do your own kids. I mean, for example, when I don't want to give anything away. So just for example, when they're at the table having breakfast and you're like, no, guests first. So I'm saying quite a tricky balance, no? I mean,
it is.
From the script, but also for you when you actually do that.
Yeah. No, I love that you see it that way. I mean, I'm kind of that way. Like, I think that I think that when people come, you know, and they're your guests, that you want to treat them as guests, you know. And then I think that everyone in my family, I kind of treat as my helpers. So I guess that really does come from me, you know, that idea of treasuring your guests. But yeah, we should honor our sweet families as well, shouldn't we? I liked the idea that it felt so real to me. You know, she's the mom of a teenager and 2 crazy, amazing boys, and she juggles all of that, and it all feels so normal until you realize what's really going on. But yeah, I don't mind the whole treasured guest thing, only because I'm that way. I'm like, hurry, everyone, get everything together. The guests are coming.
Yeah, I like to think that everybody's like that way. I think hopefully most people are that anyway. Yeah, but I mean, the 2 you mentioned your 2 sons there, the two. I think they're twins. No, they're twins in the film. Yeah,
they're so good.
I mean, they're very, very young, but at the same time, they portray certain prejudices in the movie, which I kind of guess they probably didn't really know about or have their head completely around when they came onto set.
Yes, maybe. I mean, there's pretty smart kids. So I mean, for the most part, they behave like kids. I mean, they're adorable. They're funny. They're irreverent. They're kind of running around doing their own thing, but they're also incredibly professional. I mean, obviously those young actors work like crazy, and they do that because they're so good and they're so good at what they do. But they came to set and they were told to be kids, and so they did. But I think you're right. I don't think that they had any idea of the political ramifications of what they were doing or what they were portraying. But at the same time, maybe they did a little bit. I mean, they're smart cookies.
Yeah, no, yeah. Most of the child actors I talked to Yeah, a lot smarter than I am, actually.
You think?
These are
Yeah,
even,
me too.
yeah.
Yeah, I feel the same way. I feel sometimes that I'm listening to them and I'm like, oh, yes, no, of course, I totally thought about that. And in reality, they've just taught me something. So,
Definitely, yeah. I'm interested. And interested. I mean, the rest of the young cast, they also kind of went off and did their homework. I was talking to Elle. She said that some of them even kind of went off and listened to some podcasts by a kind of I don't know. She professes herself to be a witch herself, but they actually kind of went in and kind of dug their teeth into certain things. Was there anything that you went off and kind of dug into to help you with
that's
this
a
role?
good question. I think that for me, it was kind of exploring the archetype of what a hero is, in all honesty, the idea of being one thing and then trying to do the right thing where it counts. And so that for me was the thing that I was the most curious about. I think there is something about people throughout history who have done the right thing in the face of tremendous risk and uncertainty, and that's what I saw with her. So I did a little hero worship research for sure. And then I did study a little bit of kind of like a white witchcraft, only because I found it really interesting, and kind of Elle had things that she was fascinated by, and I was curious about that as well. So I did a little bit of, I mean, I always study quite a bit, but I think for me it was more the archetype of what is a hero, and then the idea of women's power, women's wisdom, and why that would be such a scary thing for people.
When you talk about that women's power and women's wisdom, obviously that's something that's very present at the moment. Is a lot of male, especially male figures in prominent places, kind of fear women rising up now. Did you feel that kind of pressure to kind of portray that there's no need to be frightened and that women can be in these kind of places while you were filming the film? Was that something that was kind of in the air?
Oh, I love that. Oh, that's really interesting. One of the reasons I've always liked fantasy and science fiction is because women have always had a strong role in that. It's almost like because it was make believe, women were allowed to be bigger and more powerful than maybe society was allowing them at the time. And that's very much my generation as well. When I grew up, I couldn't find a lot of amazing female protagonists. So not so much pressure as a real joy in getting to play such a strong woman under these circumstances, and it felt very real to me. I mean, we need these heroes. We need the people who do the right thing, even though everyone is telling them not to. We need the people who are on, in my mind, the right side of history. So I think I didn't so much feel the pressure as I was excited about it, even though it did feel very topical, and it felt like I felt like Martha was on the right side of history. So I guess I just felt a little bit righteous and kind of certain.
Obviously, I mean, it is very present and it's set in the present day, but at the same time, it was a strange film in the way. I loved it, but it was a strange sensation because it's set in the present day and kind of it's all about present day things, but at the same time, the house and kind of the clothing and all these kind of things, it was kind of very much a throwback. No, was there any specific reason for that?
You know, I think Elle has her own, you've talked to her. She's extraordinary, isn't she? She's so smart. She's so precise. She has such a vivid and incredible imagination. And I think that's the way of storytelling that she decided to do. That long walk down to the mailbox, the sounds you hear all around you, you know, the mailbox going up, the whole background of it was also its own piece of art. And, you know, she has such an incredible gift for sound. So much of the world that you're in is also what you're hearing around you or not hearing. So I mean, I think that Elle was very precise in the way that she wanted to make it feel timeless and maybe a little bit old-fashioned. It seems to me like an old-fashioned thriller, you know, thriller, suspense. I mean, and a little bit of horror, but it seems that's what it did for me. Like the others, like it has that feeling of something. You know, there's an atmosphere that you can almost can't quite put your finger on it. I think that's how I felt it seemed timeless. That's how I felt it seemed old-fashioned, is that I rarely see that kind of precise filmmaking, especially in this genre right now, right? So I found it to be really interesting and had an interesting texture to it. I'm not quite sure if that's what you're asking, but that was the feeling I had around all of it.
When I was watching it, it reminded me kind of the old like 60s, 70s Nazi
Yes,
movies, that kind of thing. Or Anne Frank Diary, the Diary of Anne Frank, those kind of things.
it
Very much so,
did.
yeah.
Oh, very much so. And she's so precise. I mean, every little detail was all her. You know, she created every single room and it's a little bit Kubrick, right? There's that feeling of like every little detail is precise and thought out into how it's going to make you feel and world building for this whole different dystopian world. It's really interesting.
Hmm. And then what about when, I mean, obviously it's not a pure horror film, but it obviously lends
Yeah.
itself to these specific horror scenes. Did you and Elle have much of a conversation about how far you wanted to take the horror? Because obviously it's kind of, we start off with this really kind of nice drama and you're kind of creating this family atmosphere, but then
Yeah.
obviously I don't want to give too much away, but we get this witch hunter comes along and the horror does kind of kick in and there's quite a few frightening scenes. Did you have, was there much toing and fro between you and Elle to kind of decide exactly how far you wanted to take that kind of horror?
I think Elle knew exactly where she wanted the scares to be. And she's very precise with her scares. She's very precise. That's what she calls them sometimes, or, you know, even jump scares, but just scares for short. She's very precise with where she wants them to be. You know, we're watching for Sweet Echo, who, by the way, is an extraordinary young actress, and then all of a sudden we don't know where she is. We hear something and then she's right behind us, and there's the kettle goes off. You know, the scares are built with sound and everything around you, and we did have a lot of discussion about that, but I think that those were really precisely planned by Elle, and I always found myself a little chilled by them because she has an uncanny sense of how to make you jump. And even there on set, when I knew it was going to happen, there's a little bit of that, oh good Lord.
So she told you what was going to happen, but she didn't tell you exactly precisely when you were going to expect it.
Exactly. And everyone committed so fully that a lot of times, you know, Gideon would give a performance, you know, or Abby or Echo, where they were just so good at what they do. I was legitimately unnerved. And so I think the fun of having a director who really has that beautifully plotted out is that you just get to be in there and get to experience it.
Just
And
let her play with you.
the jump scare is kind of good for you, right?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. And if it works on you, then on the audience twice as much or more. Yeah, definitely.
That's my thought. Yeah, if you believe it, and you believe you're telling the truth, the audience does too. It has always been my theory.
Yeah. So just to finish off then, I don't want to keep you too long. I know that you just recently finished, The Outer Banks just recently finished now. But I don't know if you're allowed to talk about it, but something that I'm interested in is that it says that you're filming, I don't know if you're still filming or you finished filming First Kill about vampires, is that right? Is there anything you can tell us about that?
Yeah, I play Margot, a 500-year-old vampire, and she's actually really fun, sexy and irreverent and awful and wonderful, and in a long time kind of crazy, passionate relationship with her husband, and has these teenage kids, and is not really, I mean, I'd love to say she's morally reprehensible, but that's not it, because she's not actually human. So she's really quite good to other vampires, but maybe not so great to humans. And she's a really interesting character, and I'm excited for people to meet her. I mean, I haven't played anything like her. A nice,
I'm gonna say it's a far cry from Witch Hunt, definitely. Yeah,
it is. No, it's you know, that, so Witch Hunt, you know, I did my own hair and makeup, dyed my hair dark, you know, the whole thing. And First Kill, it was about 2 hours of makeup every day. It just kind of gives you an idea of what those things look like, right?
And do you know when that will be coming out, or is it still there's still no dates?
I mean, it has to be around February, but there's no precise dates. I think Felicia has delivered it to Netflix, so we'll just have to see when they decide to
So it's going to Netflix. Brilliant.
Yeah.
Okay. Listen, thank you so much for your time. I don't want to keep you any longer.
I love talking to you. I could listen to your accent all day long. I know everyone from America says that, but so fabulous. Thank you for the great questions, and it's a pleasure.
Thank you for the great answers, and thank you very much for the film. I really enjoyed it. So, and I wish it goes down. Wish you the best of luck with it when it comes out next week. No, it's on Friday, no?
Oh my gosh, can you believe it? Yeah, Friday.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. I mean, it came out in the UK a few months back and went down really well. But then it's out in the US on Friday. Yeah.
Wow.
So thank you so much for your time, and I hope to speak to you sometime soon, hopefully about First Kill. That would be great.
Yes.
Brilliant.
Oh yeah, let's talk about that when it comes out. I'm curious to know what you think about my ridiculous character. It'll be fun.
Thanks so much, Elizabeth. Enjoy your day. All right, take care. Bye now.
You too. Bye.
Want to try?